The deep space radar station on Europa lit up like a Christmas tree. Tom, the night shift operator, nearly spilled his coffee as multiple red dots appeared on his screen. His hand shook as he reached for the emergency protocol button. Within seconds, the entire Earth Defense Force was on high alert. "Sir, we have multiple objects entering the solar system," Tom reported to Command Center. "They're moving at speeds we've never seen before." Inside the Earth Defense Force headquarters, Captain James Miller stood before the giant display screen, his weathered face illuminated by the blinking red dots. 20 years of military service hadn't prepared him for this moment. Humanity's first contact with alien life wouldn't be through radio signals or distant observations. It would be face to face. "How many ships?" Miller asked, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. 57, sir. Formation suggests military precision." The room fell silent. Humanity had prepared for this possibility, but preparation and reality were two very different things. Miller turned to face Admiral White, who nodded grimly. "Captain Miller, take the peace envoy and establish first contact," the Admiral ordered. "Remember your training. We're not looking for a fight, but we're not rolling over either." The peace envoy, Earth's most advanced diplomatic vessel, departed within the hour. Miller stood on the bridge, watching Earth shrink behind them. His crew of 20 represented the best of humanity. Scientists, linguists, and military personnel, all trained for this exact scenario. The alien fleet waited just beyond Mars' orbit. Their ships were beautiful in a terrifying way. Sleek, dark vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The largest ship alone was the size of a small city. "This is Captain James Miller of the Earth Defense Force." He broadcast on all frequencies. "We come in peace and welcome you to our solar system." The response came in perfect English, sending chills down everyone's spine. "We are the Dominion. Your civilization has been observed and found wanting. Submit to our authority or face extinction." Miller's jaw tightened. "With respect, we'd prefer to discuss this as equals. Earth is willing to establish diplomatic relations and cultural exchange." "Equality is earned through power," the alien voice replied coldly. "You have none that interests us." "I must inform you that Earth will defend itself if threatened," Miller stated firmly. "We prefer peace, but we are not helpless." The alien ship's response came in the form of a bright energy beam. Miller had just enough time to hit the emergency broadcast button before the beam struck. The peace envoy shields, humanity's best defense technology, lasted less than a second. But Miller had one final card to play. As the ship broke apart, its sensors were running at full capacity, analyzing every detail of the attack. The quantum transmission burst reached Earth microseconds before the peace envoy exploded, carrying with it vital tactical data about the Dominion's weapons and shield frequencies. Back on Earth, Admiral White watched the destruction with clenched fists. The data packet from the peace envoy was already being decoded. Miller's sacrifice would not be in vain. The Dominion's message echoed through every communication device on Earth. "You have 24 hours to surrender. Resistance will result in the elimination of your species." In the coming hours, the world changed. National borders became meaningless as humanity faced its first true external threat. The United Earth Defense Council convened in an underground bunker, where Admiral White presented Miller's final gift, the technical data that might give humanity a fighting chance. "They think we're primitive," the Admiral addressed the Council. "They expect us to either surrender or fight blindly. But thanks to Captain Miller's sacrifice, we have a third option." He paused, looking at each council member in turn. "We let them think they've won. We show them what they expect to see. A frightened, primitive species. Meanwhile, we prepare. We build. We study their weaknesses. And when the time is right, we show them exactly what humanity is capable of." The Council's vote was unanimous. Operation Phoenix was initiated, and humanity began its greatest deception. On the surface, Earth would appear to submit to the Dominion's demands. But beneath that facade of submission, a storm was brewing. The aliens would learn, too late, that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its technology or its military might. It was its ability to adapt, to deceive, and to strike when least expected. Humanity's warning to the galaxy was about to be written in the stars themselves. 3 months after Earth's apparent surrender, Admiral Thomas Walker stood in the hollow heart of Ceres, watching robots carve out what would become humanity's largest hidden shipyard. The asteroid's interior had been transformed into a vast construction facility, invisible to the Dominion's patrol ships. "Status report," he commanded, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. Dr. Lisa Reed, head of Project Phoenix's engineering division, pulled up a holographic display. "We're ahead of schedule, sir. The quantum forge is operating at 200% efficiency." "Those alien weapon frequencies," Captain Miller transmitted. "They gave us exactly what we needed." Walker nodded, watching automated machines construct ship components using technology that didn't exist 3 months ago. Humanity had always been good at learning from its enemies. Now they were turning the Dominion's own technology against them. "And the shields?" he asked. "Better than we hoped." Lisa smiled grimly. "We've discovered their weapons use a specific quantum frequency. Once we knew what to look for, developing countermeasures was surprisingly simple. They won't cut through our defenses next time." On the surface, Earth appeared broken. The Dominion's observation posts on Mars watched a planet that seemed to have accepted its fate. They saw humans going about their daily lives, heads down, spirits crushed. They monitored communications, finding nothing but mundane conversations and entertainment broadcasts. What they didn't see was the network of quantum tunnels being built beneath every major city. They didn't detect the massive manufacturing operations hidden in the asteroid belt. And they certainly didn't notice the new AI defense system that was learning and adapting to their every move. In a secret facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Mark Wilson, the lead AI developer, worked with his team to perfect humanity's digital defenders. The AI system, nicknamed Guardian, had already surpassed their wildest expectations. "It's incredible," Mark explained to Walker during his inspection. "Guardian doesn't just predict their patrol patterns, it understands their psychology. It's helping us hide in plain sight by feeding them exactly what they expect to see." Walker watched the screens showing Dominion ship movements. "And they suspect nothing. Not a thing. Their own arrogance is our best camouflage. They're so convinced of their superiority that they're not looking for signs of resistance." Meanwhile, in the belt, automated factories worked tirelessly. Each asteroid became a hidden pocket of human ingenuity. Ships were built in segments, ready to be assembled at a moment's notice. New weapons were tested in the shadows of Jupiter's radiation belts, where any energy signatures would be masked by the giant planet's natural emissions. The Dominion's overconfidence was their weakness. They had expected humanity to either fight back immediately or truly submit. The possibility of a long-term deception never occurred to them. Their own history had taught them that inferior species lacked the patience and unity for such strategies. They were wrong. 6 months into the occupation, Walker called a secret meeting of Earth's Unified Command. Representatives from every former nation gathered in an underground bunker in Antarctica. "Phase 1 is complete," he announced, showing them the progress reports. "Our fleet is nearly ready. The shield technology works. The quantum weapons are tested. Now we move to Phase 2. The screen showed the next stage of Project Phoenix, the positioning of their hidden forces. Using Guardian's predictions of Dominion patrol patterns, they would slowly move their assets into place, preparing for the day they would reveal their true strength. "What about the ground forces?" asked General Martinez, representing the Ground Defense Initiative. "The underground cities are more than just shelters," Walker replied. "Each one is a fortress, armed with weapons the Dominion won't see coming. When the time comes, they'll learn that every human settlement they've been watching is actually a military installation in disguise." The meeting ended with a sense of grim satisfaction. Humanity had turned its greatest defeat into an opportunity. While the Dominion watched for signs of rebellion, humans had built an army under their very noses. The aliens thought they were watching a conquered species. Soon, they would realize they were actually watching a tiger crouch before it pounced. The silent preparation was nearly complete. Humanity's warning to the galaxy was about to enter its next phase. Colonel Anna Reed crouched in the shadows of an abandoned warehouse near the Dominion's Mars observation post, her heart steady despite the danger. A year had passed since Earth's supposed surrender, and the aliens had grown complacent. That would be their downfall. Team 2 in position, whispered the voice in her earpiece, ready to begin electronic interference. Anna checked her wrist display, showing the quantum scanner's readings. The Dominion's patrol ships followed the same pattern every night, their predictability a sign of their arrogance. Tonight, they would miss something important. Start the interference, she commanded. Keep it subtle. Remember, we're not here to fight. We're here to fool. Across Mars' rusty surface, hidden transmitters activated, creating a web of electromagnetic noise that matched the planet's natural radiation patterns. The Resistance had discovered this weakness in Dominion sensors 3 months ago. They couldn't distinguish between natural planetary emissions and artificial ones if the frequencies matched exactly. Inside the observation post, the alien monitors remained unaware as human stealth ships slipped through their defensive grid. Each vessel carried vital components for the underground cities being built beneath Mars' surface. The Red Planet would become humanity's forward base of operations, right under the enemy's nose. Back on Earth, in the depths of the Rocky Mountains, Dr. John Harris studied the latest data from their Dominion technology analysis. His team had made a breakthrough that could change everything. It's their neural network, he explained to the gathered Resistance leaders. Their entire command structure relies on quantum communications that operate on a specific frequency band. We can't block it completely, but we can introduce subtle errors. Admiral Walker leaned forward, interested. What kind of errors? Small ones, tiny discrepancies in sensor readings, minor glitches in their patrol logs. Nothing they'd notice immediately, but over time. John smiled. Over time, their entire picture of Earth's capabilities will be quietly corrupted. The plan was brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of trying to hide their activities completely, they would make the Dominion's own systems lie to them. Every scan that showed no unusual activity would reinforce the aliens' belief in human submission. Meanwhile, the underground cities grew. What the Dominion thought were mere survival shelters were actually vast military complexes. Each city was built around a central quantum forge, manufacturing weapons and ships in complete secrecy. Anna's team completed their mission on Mars, planting false sensor data that would mask the construction of 5 new underground bases. As she watched her ships slip back through the patrol grid, she couldn't help but smile. The aliens thought humans were cowering in fear, when in reality, they were preparing for the greatest military surprise in history. Status report from Earth Defense Net. Her second-in-command reported. Guardian I has successfully integrated with all planetary defense systems. The quantum shield network is at 90% completion. The Resistance worked with incredible efficiency, their operations coordinated by Guardian. The AI had evolved beyond its original programming, learning to predict not just Dominion patrol patterns, but their entire strategic thinking process. In the Pacific underwater base, Mark Wilson watched Guardian's latest simulation with satisfaction. The AI had created a complete model of Dominion battle tactics, revealing weaknesses that the aliens didn't even know they had. They relied too heavily on their technology, he explained to Anna during her next Earth visit. Their strategies are all based on their perceived technological superiority. They have no concept of being outsmarted by a primitive species. The Resistance's greatest weapon wasn't their hidden fleet or their new quantum weapons. It was information. Every day, they learned more about their enemy while feeding them false data about Earth. The Dominion's own arrogance made them blind to the possibility of such deep deception. 1 year after their arrival, the aliens thought they had a docile, defeated planet under their wash. They didn't realize that every human they saw was a potential soldier, every building they scanned could be a weapons factory, and every piece of data they collected was carefully crafted to deceive them. The underground resistance wasn't just hiding, it was actively shaping the Dominion's perception of reality. When the time came to strike, the aliens wouldn't just be surprised by humanity's strength. They would discover that everything they thought they knew about Earth was a carefully constructed lie. The warning humanity would deliver to the galaxy was being written in the language of deception, patience, and precise planning. The stage was almost set. General Robert Stone stood at the command center of Titan Base, watching the holographic display of the solar system. Hundreds of tiny dots represented humanity's hidden fleet, carefully positioned throughout the Kuiper Belt. After 18 months of preparation, the trap was almost ready. Guardian has detected increased activity in the Dominion fleet, his AI liaison officer reported. They're gathering their forces near Mars. Analysis suggests they're preparing for full occupation of Earth. Stone smiled grimly. Right on schedule. They think we're weakened enough for the final phase of their invasion. Status of our forces. All ships report ready, sir. Quantum shields are at full power, and our new weapons are primed. The underground cities are fully operational and in position. We're just waiting for your command. The general zoomed in on Earth's holographic image. From space, the planet looked peaceful, submissive. Exactly what they wanted the Dominion to see. But beneath that calm surface, every city had been transformed into a fortress. Every civilian shelter doubled as a military installation. The entire planet was a loaded gun, waiting for the trigger to be pulled. In the Neptune shipyards, hidden in the gas giant's stormy atmosphere, the last of humanity's secret fleet was reaching completion. These ships were unlike anything the Dominion had ever seen. Designed not just with stolen alien technology, but with innovations that humanity had developed in secret. Testing of the quantum disruptor weapons is complete, Dr. Lisa Reed reported from the Neptune facility. The Dominion won't know what hit them. Their shields are useless against frequencies they don't even know exist. The Guardian Eye had been crucial in developing these weapons. By analyzing the Dominion's technical data, it had found weaknesses in their defenses that even they weren't aware of. Their reliance on quantum communication networks had become their greatest vulnerability. On Mars, Colonel Anna Reed's teams had finished planting the last of their surprises. What looked like simple observation posts to the Dominion were actually quantum signal jammers, ready to disrupt their entire command network at a moment's notice. Final check of the underground network, Anna reported to General Stone. All cities are connected and ready. The moment they launch their invasion, they'll find themselves fighting an enemy that's already inside their defensive line. The Dominion's arrogance had made this possible. They were so convinced of their superiority that they hadn't bothered to look too closely at human activities. Their scans had become routine, cursory, exactly as Guardian had predicted they would. In the asteroid belt, automated factories continued their work, but now they were producing decoys and false targets. When the battle began, the Dominion would waste precious time and resources attacking empty space, while real human ships struck from unexpected directions. Admiral Walker called a final secure meeting of Earth's Unified Command. Representatives gathered in the deepest level of the Rocky Mountain complex, reviewing the battle plan one last time. The Dominion thinks they're about to begin their final invasion, Walker explained. They've gathered nearly 80% of their fleet. They expect to find a weak submission planet. Instead, they're going to find the biggest trap in military history. The holographic display showed the positions of every hidden ship, every underground city, every defensive installation. Humanity's real strength had been carefully concealed, wrapped in layers of deception and misdirection. Guardian's latest analysis gives us an 87% chance of success, the AI liaison reported. The Dominion's battle tactics are predictable. They rely too heavily on their standard protocols. They have no defense against what they don't believe is possible. General Stone studied the battle plan one final time. Everything was in position. The quantum weapons were ready. The shield network was complete. Earth's forces were hidden but prepared to strike. Now they just needed the Dominion to take the bait. "Send the signal," Stone commanded. "Let's give them exactly what they're expecting. A weak point in our defensive grid. Make it look like we're trying to hide it. That should be enough to trigger their invasion plan." The trap was set. Humanity's warning to the galaxy was about to be delivered in a language that even the arrogant Dominion would understand. The language of complete and utter defeat. Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of the EDS Phoenix, humanity's most advanced warship, hidden in the dark side of Earth's moon. The vessel had never been detected by Dominion sensors, its quantum shields making it invisible to their technology. The time had finally come to reveal humanity's true power. Guardian confirms the Dominion fleet is moving into position, his tactical officer reported. They've taken the bait. Their entire invasion force is committed to the attack. Walker nodded, his face illuminated by the holographic displays showing enemy positions. Begin transmission on all frequencies. Let's show them what they're really dealing with. Across the solar system, every communication device, every sensor array, and every Dominion ship received the same broadcast. Walker's image appeared on their screens, his expression stern and confident. "To the forces of the Dominion," he began, his voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. "For 18 months, you have believed yourselves to be our masters. You have watched us, thinking we were broken, defeated, submissive." He paused, allowing a slight smile. "You were wrong." The broadcast shifted to show images that made the Dominion commanders freeze in shock. Hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt. Massive underground cities bristling with weapons. Quantum forges producing technology that should have been beyond human capability. "Every scan you made of Earth was exactly what we wanted you to see," Walker continued. "Every bit of data you collected was carefully crafted to deceive. You thought you were watching a conquered species. Instead, you were watching a masterclass in deception." In orbit around Mars, Dominion observers watched in disbelief as their supposedly secure observation posts transformed, revealing powerful weapon systems that had been hidden in plain sight. "We have studied you," Walker's voice carried on. "Your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses, the frequencies your weapons use. We learned those from Captain Miller's sacrifice. Your supposedly unbeatable shields. We developed countermeasures months ago. Your secure quantum communications. We've been listening to every word." The broadcast showed more reveals. Human ships emerging from Neptune's storms, bases appearing in Jupiter's radiation belts, and weapon platforms rising from beneath Earth's oceans. "But we are not like you," Walker declared. "We do not seek dominance. We do not demand submission. What we offer now is choice. Leave our solar system. Leave us in peace. This is your one and only warning." To prove his point, Walker gave a simple command. Across the solar system, quantum jammers activated. For 30 seconds, every Dominion ship lost contact with its command network. When communications restored, the message was clear. Humanity could blind them at will. "We are not the primitives you thought we were," Walker continued. "We are humanity. We are the species that turned your invasion into an opportunity. We are the people who built an army under your watch. We are the civilization that took your best technology and made it better." In the Kuiper Belt, hundreds of human ships decloaked simultaneously, their quantum shields rippling as they revealed themselves. The Dominion commanders realized with growing horror that they were surrounded. "You have 1 hour to begin retreat operations." Walker's voice carried the weight of absolute certainty. "Any hostile action will be met with immediate response. Any attempt to call reinforcements will trigger our defense systems. The choice is yours, but know this: if you choose war, you will learn why throughout history. Humanity's greatest advances have come during times of conflict." The broadcast ended, leaving the Dominion fleet in stunned silence. Their sensors, finally freed from human deception, showed the true situation. They weren't facing a weakened planet ready for conquest. They were facing the most sophisticated defensive network they'd ever encountered. Admiral Walker watched the Dominion ships on his display, waiting for their response. In 18 months, humanity had gone from apparent defeat to complete military readiness. Now they would see if the Dominion could swallow their pride and retreat, or if they needed a more forceful demonstration of humanity's capabilities. The warning had been delivered. The next move belonged to the Dominion, but humanity was ready either way. The Dominion's answer came exactly 59 minutes after Admiral Walker's warning. It wasn't the answer humanity had hoped for, but it was the one they had expected. Primitives do not dictate terms to the Dominion. Their High Commander's message boomed across all channels. Your deception only proves your dishonesty. Now you will learn the price of such treachery. Admiral Walker watched as the Dominion fleet began to move. They're exactly as prideful as Guardian predicted. All ships, battle positions. Operation Phoenix is now active. The space around Earth erupted into chaos. The Dominion launched their attack with overwhelming force, thousands of energy beams streaking toward Earth's surface. But their weapons found no targets. Every beam passed through holographic projections of cities and bases. They still don't understand, Colonel Anna Reed commented from her command post beneath Mars' surface. They're fighting the enemy they imagine, not the one we've become. The real battle began when humanity's quantum disruptors activated. Invisible beams sliced through Dominion shields as if they weren't there. The aliens' supposedly impenetrable defenses proved useless against weapons specifically designed to counter them. First wave successful. The tactical officer reported. Enemy fleet has lost 20% of their forward elements. They're adjusting formation. The Dominion's response was predictable. They fell back on traditional battle tactics, forming tight defensive groups. It was exactly what Guardian had predicted they would do, and exactly what humanity had prepared for. Launch Phase 2, Walker commanded. From beneath the surface of every major city on Earth, massive weapon platforms emerged. What the Dominion had dismissed as primitive shelter systems revealed themselves as advanced defense installations. Each platform emitted a quantum field that disrupted the aliens' targeting systems. In orbit, the true scale of humanity's preparation became clear. The supposedly broken planet had teeth, and it was biting back hard. Enemy fleet is attempting to establish a new command network, Guardian reported through the AI interface, initiating planned countermeasures. The quantum jammers that humanity had hidden throughout the solar system activated in sequence. Dominion ships suddenly found themselves isolated, unable to coordinate their attacks. Their rigid command structure, once a strength, became a critical weakness. They're launching ground forces, General Stone reported from Earth Defense Command. Exactly as expected. The Dominion had committed their troops, sending landing craft toward Earth's surface. They still believed they were fighting a conventional war against a weaker enemy. They were wrong. As their ships entered the atmosphere, they encountered another surprise. The cloud layer itself seemed to come alive, filled with microscopic robots that had been seated there months ago. These nanites attached themselves to the Dominion ships, disrupting their navigation systems. Urban defense networks online, Colonel Reed announced. Let them land. Let them see what we've prepared. The first wave of Dominion troops landed in what they thought were vulnerable human cities. Instead, they found themselves in elaborately constructed kill zones. Every building, every street, every seemingly innocent structure had been designed as part of an interlocking defense system. In orbit, the battle continued to go badly for the invaders. Human ships emerged from hidden positions throughout the solar system, striking with devastating precision. The Dominion's rigid tactics proved useless against an enemy that could predict their every move. Enemy fleet has lost 40% of their combat capability, Guardian reported. Their command structure is breaking down. Individual ship commanders are beginning to act independently. This, too, had been predicted. The Dominion's hierarchical society had never prepared them for this kind of warfare. They couldn't adapt to an enemy that fought unpredictably. that struck from multiple directions, that seemed to know their plans before they made them. "They're launching their reserve forces," Walker observed. "They're still convinced they can overwhelm us with superior numbers." But numbers meant nothing against an enemy that had spent 18 months preparing the perfect trap. Every Dominion tactic had been anticipated. Every response had been planned for. Every weakness had been identified and exploited. The battle wasn't just a defeat for the Dominion. It was a complete dismantling of everything they believed about warfare and their own superiority. Humanity hadn't just prepared for this fight. They had staged it, choreographed it, and were now executing it with devastating precision. The warning had been delivered, ignored, and now the consequences were becoming clear. The galaxy was about to learn a valuable lesson about underestimating humanity. The final phase of the battle began as Earth's sun rose over the Atlantic Ocean. The remaining Dominion ships, still formidable despite their losses, gathered for one last desperate attack. They had never faced defeat before, and their pride wouldn't let them retreat. Admiral Walker stood on the Phoenix's bridge, watching the enemy formation. "They're going to try to punch straight through to Earth. They think if they can land enough troops, they can still win this." "Let them come," General Stone responded from Earth Defense Command. "Everything is ready." The Dominion fleet surged forward, their remaining ships forming a massive spear aimed at Earth's heart. It would have been an impressive sight if it wasn't exactly what humanity had planned for. "Guardian, execute final protocol," Walker commanded. Throughout the solar system, hidden quantum transmitters activated simultaneously. The space between Earth and the approaching fleet suddenly lit up with artificial quantum fields, creating a maze of overlapping disruption zones. Dominion ships found their sensors confused, their weapons misfiring, their shields flickering. "Now, Colonel Reed," Walker ordered. On Mars, Anna Reed activated the hidden weapon platforms that her teams had spent months placing around the planet. The Dominion's rear guard suddenly found themselves under attack from what they had thought were their own secure observation posts. "They're trapped between our forces now," the tactical officer reported, just as planned. The Dominion fleet broke formation, their disciplined approach dissolving into chaos. Some ships tried to retreat, others pushed forward, and their once perfect coordination shattered completely. That's when humanity revealed their final surprise. The moon, which had seemed like nothing more than Earth's silent companion, suddenly showed its true nature. The entire lunar surface rippled as thousands of hidden weapon platforms emerged from beneath the regolith. "My God," someone whispered on the Phoenix's bridge. "We turned the whole moon into a weapon." The lunar defense grid opened fire, unleashing a barrage that caught the Dominion fleet in a crossfire. Caught between Earth's defenses, the Mars platforms, and the lunar grid, the alien ships began to fall. "Enemy fleet is at 15% strength and falling," Guardian reported. "Their command network has completely collapsed." On Earth's surface, the ground battle was equally decisive. The Dominion troops that had managed to land found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere. Every street was a trap, every building a fortress, and every retreat route led to another ambush. "We're detecting a quantum surge from the remaining enemy ships," the sensor officer announced. "They're preparing to activate their long-range communications." Walker smiled grimly. "Let them. It's time for the galaxy to receive our message." The Dominion's distress call went out, broadcasting their defeat across the stars. But alongside it went humanity's own transmission, a carefully prepared message to any other civilizations that might be watching. To all spacefaring races, Walker's voice rang out across the quantum frequencies. "You have witnessed the defeat of the Dominion fleet. Let this serve as humanity's warning to the galaxy. We do not seek conflict. We do not want war. But if forced to fight, we will defend ourselves with everything we have." The remaining Dominion ships, finally accepting their defeat, began to retreat. Their once mighty invasion fleet had been reduced to a handful of damaged vessels limping away from Earth. "Should we pursue?" asked the tactical officer. Walker shook his head. No, let them go. Let them carry the story of what happened here. Let them tell others what happens when you underestimate humanity. As the last Dominion ship disappeared into deep space, celebrations erupted across Earth. Humanity had not just survived. They had proven themselves to be a force that even the mighty Dominion couldn't overcome. It's not just a victory, General Stone said during the final command meeting. It's a message to the galaxy. Humanity isn't easy prey. We're not a primitive species to be conquered. We're a force to be reckoned with. Admiral Walker looked out at Earth from the Phoenix's viewport. The planet looked peaceful now, but every civilization in the galaxy would soon know its true strength. Humanity's warning had been delivered, written in the language of absolute victory. The stars seemed a little brighter that night, as humanity looked to the future not with fear, but with confidence. They had faced the galaxy's greatest power and emerged triumphant. Whatever came next, Earth would be ready.